Hey, you guys. How's everybody been? I know I've been gone for a long time, huh? Just had lots of stuff going on, and I don't know. I was like between these journal projects, and I don't know, just kind of didn't really have anything to do. So, and I've been kind of going back and forth about these journal covers, and I thought I don't know. I've tried to get these to work for me a couple of different ways. I've taken them apart a couple times, and anyway, so I think I have figured out what I want to do with them, and I thought I would just kind of show you guys what my plan is and do a little bit of work on these on camera. So I don't remember what they were. It was some kind of series of, obviously, of some pretty old books with this beautiful marbled paper on the front, and then the inside is just, some white end paper. But I wanted to really, there's a few others too. There's this one. This is like a more of a dark blue color. And then, so there's two of those, and then there's two of these red ones. So these were some kind of French books, I think. And then I've also got these two covers that I want to try to do something with. So you can see that I've actually had some spines built on these, and then I hated it, so I tore it off and it tore the paper right there. So it was not easy to get that off, but so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those two. And these, I don't know either. I might just wind up doing them the same as these other ones, but we'll see. They're slightly larger. I've already got quite a few pages already pulled for these. So these are a little bit bigger than these. So you can see the red ones are significantly larger than those. We'll call these the green ones, the blue ones, and the red ones. And then these other ones kind of have like almost like an Asian kind of floral pattern on them, those bigger red ones. Anyway, so since I've kind of have damaged them a little bit, I can't really show you what I had done before because, well, I tore it off. But I can show you that a lot of these, they're kind of dusty, and these are really old. I mean, these are from 1870s or so. The corners are kind of lifting on some of them, and the paper was starting to lift on some. And so what I have done is I wound up using my somebody broke this. I don't know what happened. Anyway, the paper that was on the cover actually wrapped around onto the inside. You can see you can see it just a little bit there on the edge, but it was all kind of broken, and I don't know, it just didn't look very nice. So I just took the sandpaper and I just sanded that off. This is some pretty coarse grit sandpaper. I actually glued it onto another emery board, and I just used this for like distressing and stuff. Anyway, so I just went around all the edges and kind of, brought the sandpaper up onto the front just slightly, just to kind of smooth that off. And then I went around the edges and stuff and all the corners, and I did the inside also, but I think this is going to wind up getting covered up somehow, so I'm not super worried about what I do with this edge here, because I do want to build another spine on these. And what I'm thinking I might do is do some kind of a semi-flexible spine like I like to do, and then use fabric to attach it. But then I want to do some grommets maybe up along this edge, and try to keep some of this exposed. I don't know though, I might wind up covering that up because I need to have a good amount of fabric or whatever to attach it to the book cover. So anyway, I know I'm just kind of rambling about it now, but anyway, so I've been going through all of these covers front and back, and just wherever this this is actually leather, but wherever that is kind of lifting, I'm just using the art glitter glue and kind of just gluing it back down. And because I do want to preserve that, so it's kind of dusty in there, but so I'm just using that. Trying to get, and I get it clogged up with the like leather dust that's under there. I should have brushed it out. But anyway, so this is pretty sturdy, and it'll just keep that from coming off, you know. I do plan to put book corners on these also, so but that just gives it a little bit more durability. And so these are some other ones that I also wound up tearing off the binding. So you can see that I had it going all the way up, you know, covering up this leather strip on the edge. And so to keep them all kind of looking like they go together, like a set or a series or whatever, I think I probably will wind up covering this on all of them. I don't know though. We'll see. Anyway, so what I'm doing is just on the inside, since on some of these, I was trying to find one where, yeah, so on some of these, like on the blue ones, the inside got kind of damaged when I tore off the fabric too that I used to build the spine originally. I wanted to cover that, so I'm just doing some really simple like collage with book pages on the inside, and I'm just going to do that on all of them. So I just did, you know, just some kind of book paper, tried to do some different tones and different colors of paper and stuff on there. So I thought I would do that with you guys on some of these. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of collaging on the front of these too. And these are going to wind up getting sealed. I will seal them with like a clear coat just to be sure that they're nice and durable. So I pulled out some books that, you know, would fit the bill to give me those different tones, different textures of book pages and stuff. A lot of them are French books, some really old ones. This is a German French dictionary from, oh my gosh, eons ago, 1807. So it's really, really old. I actually paid a pretty penny for that on eBay. So I'm just going to pull a couple pages from that book. And then I also got this from Louise at Forever French. It's basically like a cookbook for, well, that's an interesting image. Kind of almost like a frugal gourmet kind of cookbook. Okay, so I'm just going to take a couple pages out of there. Is that two or is that one? Oh, that's only one page. The pages are really thick in this book. Let me grab one more. And I may wind up taking this apart and actually using some of the pages as pages in some of the journals too. And then let's see. Move my phone. This little English-French dictionary, I wanted to use a couple of pages out of here because I like that it's, you know, it's a different color. It's very, very thin paper. And then I've also got some pages that came also from Louise from an old encyclopedia set. So I'm just going to take a page out of there. I really like I really like these images with the flowers and stuff, but for using on the, I'm going to try to save these to use for something in particular, but I just really just want the text. So I'm just going to tear a couple little strips of this. And so that gives us kind of like some darker, richer, like beige color, just a nice little variety of colors of paper to use. So I'm just going to use my, since I am going to seal this with a clear coat, I feel okay about using the glue stick to do my collaging. I think it's going to, it's going to stay just fine. Anyway, so what have you guys been doing? Just still, I've just been really just still staying home a lot. Not much else to do, I guess. Sammy, my youngest son, who goes to University of Washington, he had come home in February, well, maybe March, because of COVID, and continued classes. He goes to UW. Did I say that? Yeah. He continued classes online to the end of the semester, and stayed the rest of the summer. So he was gonna, they're continuing classes online only at the university, and so they weren't sure what they were going to do about dorms and all that kind of stuff, because he lived on campus last year. So he wasn't sure what they were going to do, and I was almost going to suggest to him to take the year off, but he's like, no. Anyway, so him and his girlfriend both go to UW, and she actually lived in the same dorm as him last year, and it worked out really well. I thought maybe they would be, spending more time together than was healthy, but apparently they want to live together and get married and all that stuff. So that's, I guess that's the road we're going down. So anyway, so they got an apartment together over in Seattle, and I'm telling you, it is not cheap to live in an apartment in Seattle. They're about a mile from the campus, so that's good. So they're still, within proximity to the campus, which is nice, just in case they, if and when they do start doing classes on campus again. Sammy's in the engineering program, so he will have some labs that he'll have to go to on campus in person. So that's, that's okay. It's a little scary for me, but he doesn't seem to be too worried about it, because there's not that many. And because I guess one of the emails that they got from the school over the summer about, whether or not they were going to do classes in person or virtual, they got a whole bunch of emails. But anyways, one of the emails said that when they resume classes, or even online classes, if you're living in a dorm, they said that anybody who becomes ill, any kind of sick, doesn't even have to be COVID sick, but any kind of sick, they want you to quarantine in a different dorm. So if you were living on campus in a dorm, they had another dorm that was actually destined to be torn down. Happens to be the same dorm that Sammy lived in last year. It was like the oldest dorm on campus. Anyway, they set up that dorm as a quarantine dorm. So if you got sick, you would have to quarantine to that dorm and live there for 2 weeks. And they just were not feeling that at all. So since you know, living on campus in the dorms with the meal plan and all that, isn't exactly cheap. I mean, you know, but they do require that for the first year anyways, like most schools. Anyway, so they put their money together. You know, Sammy qualified for a whole bunch of different scholarships and things like that. And thankfully, he hasn't had to take out any loans yet. Anyway, they put their money together and they were able to find an apartment. So that's really cool. And I'm really happy for them. So it's kind of exciting, but for the last couple weeks, that's what we've been doing, just kind of getting Sammy ready to go back to school and leaving me again. And anyway, so he moved in. He left on Saturday. And so now it's just like, oh, first of all, he is like officially moved out this time. So he's not coming back for the summer either. Because I had kept his room, you know, still set up for him for when he came back in the summer. And so now I guess they're not going to be coming back in the summer. So I get to use his room. I've got a little bit of space around this border here that I do want to cover. So I'm just going to kind of patch it up. Some other little bits. Anyway, so Sebastian and I are going to share that room, which is totally empty now, and use it for Etsy and for, you know, storing, you know, supplies and books and all my fabric and things like that. And I'm going to get rid of that pod. So that'll be nice. Got another little spot down here. That is actually going to probably get covered anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I do want to have kind of a nice straight edge there. So I'm just trimming that piece, and I'm going to just glue it right there on the very edge. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. And I've just really, I don't know, it's really weird sometimes when I don't do any kind of video for a while. It's almost like you almost get like anxiety about it. It's really weird. But once I jump back on the train, I'm good. So this little bit that's kind of sticking out, I'm just going to use the sandpaper and get rid of it. Same on here. It's a little jaggedy. I like to use the sandpaper because it just kind of makes it, I don't know, it makes it look like it was supposed to be there, you know, and smooths it out. Okay, so that's cool. So I've got this, the inside of this cover all collaged and everything. I'm not going to be building the spine on this video. I'm just doing like the collage and that kind of thing, just to show you what my plans are. I've done a couple already, but I'm liking the way they're turning out. So I thought this would be good. So this is the front, and then the back I'm just going to set aside for now. So I just want to do, these are going to be very florally, botanical, Frenchy, kind of grungy, vintage. So I just want to sort of do a little bit of collage with the book paper again on the front, and mostly just to add some texture to this cover. I had some ideas about maybe doing just like some, you know, fussy cut flowers or something, and I like that, but I thought they looked a little out of place, you know, like they needed something to help kind of blend them in to this marbled paper. You'll see what I mean. So I'm just doing a little bit of collaging down in this area. Really simple, and it's going to overlap a little bit onto that leather using these different textures. I am going to use a little bit of like ledger paper or something, just because I like ledger and I have a lot of scraps, so this is perfect. So using the glue stick, if you want to do something like this, I seriously think that these Amazon glue sticks are perfect for gluing onto just about anything, especially book paper, because book paper, it has some tooth, like it's kind of porous, and so the glue actually seeps into the fibers of the paper really well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend glue stick for gluing, and you'll see what I mean, but for gluing like glossy paper to glossy paper. But I think it's okay for gluing, like, you know, book paper to like a semi-glossy paper. Although this is really old, so it's already got a little bit of tooth to it anyways. So it's grabbing really nicely. And you can tell if things aren't going to stick well, right? Okay, so I know I've got a little bit of a spot right there where the marbling is still showing through, but that's okay because it's going to get covered up. So just really simple, a little bit of book page. And I've got a bunch of flowers that I've already fussy cut from one of my botanical books. And I just want to add a flower image on the front of this. So some of these are from that, what was that book called? I can't remember the name of it. I've mentioned it in other videos, but it was a book that Rachel showed on her channel one day, and I just like freaked out and had to get it off of Amazon. Anyway, so I kind of like that. Now see how because it's really covering up most of that book page, right? I just want it as a background for my flower. Okay, I do want to add a little, these are all French postage stamps, so I do want to add just a little postage stamp on the front of each one, just because. And maybe a label, some kind of label. This is what I like to do a lot of times when I can't figure out what I want to do. I just like to start collaging and cutting paper and stuff, you know. It just really helps me kind of get my juices flowing. So these are just some labels that I made using the label stamps from Signet Stamps that I've shown you guys lots of times, on some ledger paper. So I'm just gonna glue this down somewhere. It doesn't matter if the flower image kind of overlaps it a little bit. I don't care. There, I think that's a good spot. So since this paper is kind of glossy, I am going to use the art glitter glue to attach it, because I just want to be sure, you know. I don't want this lifting at all. Whoops. And if you've ever used this glue, then you know what I mean. It's just very, very reliable. And you don't need a ton of it either. Mostly I'm just focusing on the edges all the way around. And it will, you know, probably sneak out underneath a little bit, which is fine. I'd rather have it ooze out the sides than not be enough glue. Just pay attention to these little pieces that are kind of pointy. Just want to really make sure that the edges are glued down really well. And then it's kind of, you do have like a tiny bit of wiggle room with this glue, but it does grab pretty quickly. So just like that, just like a little bit of collage on the front. And then this will get sealed also with like a matte acrylic spray, just to make sure that everything is copacetic, you know. So there's that one. And I'm going to come back and do some inking on this also, but I want to wait for it to dry first. So let's work on a different one. So these are some that I already did the collaging on the inside. So I just want to use a different kind of image on the front. So we'll just do the same thing, just do some collaging with some book paper here. It's going to wind up being very, very similar, just with different, you know, different paper, but all just book paper. So what else is going on? Let's see. Oh, so so Sammy took Bandit. You know, back when I first got my cat, we actually got two cats. We got Jimmy and Bandit, and Bandit was Sammy's cat, or is Sammy's cat. So he actually took him with him. So Jimmy has just been beside himself, lonely, wondering where his buddy is. So he's decided that I really and truly am his best friend now. But not only that, when we had both of the cats here, since Bandit was a kitten, I didn't really want to put him on a limited feeding, you know. So both of the cats have been on a combination of a kitten food and a premium food. I believe in feeding your animals a high quality food, the highest quality food that you can afford, any animal. But because, you know, if they were choosing what they could eat, that's what they would choose most likely, right? So anyway, so I believe in feeding your animals like a premium food if you can afford to. Anyway, so that's what they were getting, and you also feed less food that way too, I've learned. Anyway, so they were on an open feeding because Bandit, being a kitten, I don't want to, you know, I didn't want to inhibit his growth or anything. So that means that Jimmy was also on an open feeding. And so, you know, you need to feed a little bit higher protein to younger animals when they're growing and stuff. So we have them on a kitten food mixed with an adult cat food. So I just figured, since he was on open feeding, he's getting the kitten food. Half of it was the adult food, but I figured it was better than just being on an adult food, and I didn't want Jimmy just on kitten food. So it's kind of hard to separate cats from eating each other's food, right? Anyway, so Jimmy has put on, since we got him, he gained like 4 pounds. So I was like, okay, as soon as Bandit's gone, Jimmy's going on a diet. And so I ordered one of those automatic feeders, so it just dispenses food at certain times, and you can adjust it to feed a certain amount. Anyway, so I put him on that, and he is just fit to be tied. So not only did he lose his best friend, he's gone on a diet too. Anyway, so these are some images that I got from Louise from Forever French, and they printed really weird. Something is going on with my toner in that printer, and it's just not printing right. So I don't know. Probably need to clean the heads or something. But anyway, so these are some images that I scanned that were from her shop. And I printed them in different sizes. So I'm going to actually... I was going to just put like a large image on the front of each of these, but then I thought I didn't really want to cover up that much of the cover. So I'm just going to use a smaller one. I used to use images like this on journal covers all the time, and then I just kind of stopped for some reason. Anyway, so I'm just going to use the tear ruler. You can see that around those photos, they've kind of got that like jaggedy kind of edge on them anyway. So I'm just trying to sort of reproduce that, or recreate that, which is the whole point to this tear ruler anyway. I guess I can't tear paper and talk at the same time. Ugh, I messed that corner up. And I like this image. It's like a mama holding her baby. You can see mama holding her baby. Thought it was pretty cute. So that, and then I thought it would be really pretty to use some book corners, even though I messed up that corner. I'll see if I can make it work anyway. I've got some gold book corners. Yeah. Because see how there's kind of this like metallic paint in that marbling? I want to sort of pick that up a little bit. So I'm going to use these gold book corners. Now, these are stickers, okay, but I'm not going to just rely on that sticker to keep this in there. And since this is going to be on the cover of the book, I do want to make sure that I glue the corner into the book corner, okay? So it's just like, it's kind of sticky and kind of fussy, but I just don't want to take the risk that, you know, it would come out at any point. So I'm going to just, let me see if I can just add a little bit of glue in here before I slip the picture in. And I don't really care if these book corners are perfectly straight either. I think it adds a little bit of character, maybe even if they're kind of crookedy. So that doesn't bother me at all. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Maybe it won't matter. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. So I've been addicted to watching these like food haul videos with these families, these like large families. And I found this whole genre of videos on YouTube with these ladies that do these grocery hauls, and then they also do cooking for a large family. So like some of these families are like 8-10 kids, you know. So I mean, I had 5 kids, so I can definitely relate. And I'm just going to kind of glue this on here and pretend like that little section didn't get ripped off. You know what I'm saying? All right. These are super sticky, so I'm trying to just get my finger off of it. There we go. Okay. And then, oh, you know what I forgot was I wanted to do some inking around the edge of this image. Just right on the very edge of the picture. Because I really want to make these like super grungy and very, very, you know, very inky. So I'm adding the art glitter glue onto the tape part of the photo corners, even though it's, you know, it's pretty good tape on there, but I want to make sure that this doesn't ever lift up. Okay. And then, well, I forgot to put a little label on here, but that's okay. I can still do it. And just kind of place it where I think it's appealing, you know, and I kind of like it right there. The other thing that I noticed on these is that there's a section that will lift up right on this edge, and I know that that will not stay down as well as I want it to on the cover of a journal. So I'm just kind of folding that little bit back, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit of glue right underneath that little flap of the photo corner that sticks up. And I'm going to have lots of other photo corners, so maybe they don't all do this, but these ones do. And I have them and I want to use them, and they're gold, and so, you know, it's just using the baby wipe to wipe off the excess glue. So there, I think that looks pretty cool. I do want to add a little stamp. I like the idea of using an orange. Well, that one's Costa Rica. I don't know what I'm doing. I like the orange. Is this a French stamp? Yeah. That one's Italy. So I do want to use a postage stamp on here, and also some kind of label. Just stick that anywhere. There we go. And I think I'm going to just do like a black label. That'll work. Okay, so see on this one, I am going to have to add something to cover up this strip here. I mean, I don't necessarily have to, but I think I want to. So when I add the spine in, whatever I use to, you know, glue all of that together, I am going to need to make it wide enough to cover that strip, just because that's where I had, you know, the previous binding attempt glued down, and I, you know, ripped the whole thing off. So anyway, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But as far as inking these, I just want to start adding a little bit of character to these covers now. So I'm just going to ink right along these edges. Pretty dark. I put some fresh photo, vintage photo on this really, really old distress ink pad. So I'm just inking this really dark. And that way it won't look like just chipboard, you know. I repeat, might come back and add a little bit of ink gold or something like that with my fingertips, just to give it a little bit more like gold highlight and stuff. So I'm just going to run a little ink there anyways, just for the heck of it. And then the other thing I like to do, just to sort of bring it all together, let me let this one dry and grab this other one that we were working on. Let me ink this one a little bit more. I guess I had already inked this cover. think I started inking all the covers and then decided what I wanted to do. So just to sort of tone this down a little bit, I'm just using a wet baby wipe, just putting a little bit of ink on it, and then just starting at the corners, I'm just kind of just doing a little bit of distressing with the ink on a wet baby wipe, just over that bright paper and that bright image, just to kind of tone it down. And I'm really checking to see if I have anything sticking up. I really don't want anything, you know, potentially ripping off later. I might even come in and add some paper flowers or something on these ones with the photos. I don't think I would on this with the flower image, but maybe the ones with the photos. And then I'll just do the same thing on the inside with a wet baby wipe, and a little bit of ink, just to kind of grunge up these corners and tone down that white paper a little bit. It's kind of an all over sort of thing, right? But more focused on the corners. Whoops, I kind of got messed up. That's okay. Not a big deal. Okay. And then, so that's this one. I like to work on the front and back of covers at the same time, even though, you know, I'm not doing any collaging on the back of this one. I like to kind of keep them together just so I know, like I wouldn't want to do like really heavy inking on the front cover and not on the back cover, you know. So I try to make them sort of matchy, right? And this is not going to dry as dark as it looks right now. It's partially because the paper is getting a little bit wet from the baby wipe. Okay, so kind of grunged up a little bit, and then those need to dry, and I think I will look at doing a clear coat on these after this dries. I was thinking about doing some kind of tissue over the whole surface after I did this little bit of collage, but then I kind of tried it on something and I didn't really like the way it looked because you couldn't see much of the details and stuff anymore, and I really want to be able to preserve that. Just the little things like the little number 9 on this label and stuff like that. So and then I just really like the book page on the inside. So, and then again, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do as far as the spine, but I know I want to keep it as a semi-flexible kind of spine. So where's the other side of this cover? Here it is. Okay, so I'll just do the inside of this one. I need to ink around the edges first. You can see it's a little bit warped, like the whole cover is a little bit warped, but I'm not going to worry about that. Like I think that just makes it cooler, you know. Yeah, just ink this super dark. Mostly I'm focusing on the chipboard or the book board, not the paper necessarily, because I'm going to do the paper with the baby wipe. You grab a new baby wipe. Nice moist one. just using the ink like paint, basically. So if you've ever been using like distress ink to distress, you know, paper and stuff like this before, and all you're using is the like a distress tool or whatever like that, something like this, or the sponge ones. If you feel like this is a good way to kind of avoid the little circle marks that you can get from doing that sometimes. And I think it's a good way to control the amount of ink that you apply. If you're one of those that like you accidentally just get too much ink, I think this is a good way to kind of control that, because you can see how much ink you've got on the baby wipe. You know, you can tell if it's going to be really dark. And again, you know, this is going to lighten up as it dries also. So they won't wind up being that dark. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of distressing on the front with this ink. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Okay. Maybe even a little bit more on this image. Okay, so kind of funky and grungy. So we did these two covers, and I've got a few more that I need to do. This is another one that I did earlier, so you can see it really does lighten up quite a bit when the ink dries. These I didn't really distress too much on the inside, but I did do it, and you can see that, you know, it lightens up quite a bit. So this one is a little bit darker. So anyway, so I did both of these already, and I just think I'm gonna do, you know, half of them with like some kind of image like that, and then the other half with just some kind of like a floral image like this. So I don't know, maybe I'll add an image, one of these little images on here also, but I kind of don't think I will. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing. Working on some journals. Let's see, how many do I have? So I've got those 4. Let's see. 5. Whoops. What happened here? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got a dozen of these all together. That's not counting those larger red ones. But yeah, so a dozen journals. I guess that's what I'm working on. Okay. So I'm just going to keep getting all of these collaged and inked up, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me, you guys. And thanks for always being there. I appreciate it. And for your emails and stuff. I'm perfectly fine. Everything is fine. I just lost my baby again. So anyway, okay. Love you guys. Bye for now.